What do we got going on today? Well, today is distilling day for the Stillntheclear wheated bourbon. Okay, I've been having some requests. Some people have been wanting to see my still in action, so we're going to get that taken care of. And I also wanted to talk about still columns, or actually still column packing. That's what I wanted to talk about. But first things first, welcome to Stillworks and Brewing. My name is Randy, and this is the channel that's all about home distillation and brewing. Let's get started. Okay, so we got the still pot all charged up. So what I want to do next is I wanted to degas the our fermented liquid. All them gas, air bubble or CO2 bubbles gets trapped in liquid. It's best to get that out before we start heating it up. And I found it kind of helps in if you degas, it's less likely to puke. Or that's what I feel anyway. It won't foam up as much, you know, when you start working it. Okay, so let's degas it, and it's just, you can use a drill or you can use a spoon, anything, just to knock them the gas bubbles loose from the liquid. And it don't take very long. You see how it's all foaming up. We're knocking the CO2 gas out. It don't take very much. It ain't like it's hard to do. Okay, that's about all it is. I'm just going to knock them loose. Okay, so we're going to talk about column packing. Alright, well, I guess first thing we need to know is what can we use as column packing? Well, one of the most very common things that I use, and I pretty much use this all the time, is a copper mesh. And make sure it's 100% copper. And it's a copper mesh. Usually take about, I don't know, a piece is about 18 inches long. Let me grab a pair of scissors. And it's so easy to use. You get about that long. Cut me a nice piece off. And the great thing, I don't know if that's going to be long enough. The great thing about this column, or the copper mesh, is it's extremely easy to clean. And I'm going to put 2 rolls like that inside there. Right? So, I got this brand new too. It lasts a long time. I mean, you use it over and over again. You clean it. I've done a video out there of how to clean copper. It works fantastic. So you're going to put 2 rolls in the column in the bottom. I like them in the bottom. Okay, so that's one packing, is the copper mesh. Okay, another packing that you could use is, these are ceramic ration rings. Okay, let me see this. There, can you see it? Ceramic. They're made out of ceramic, and they're just rings. Okay. So that's another packing that you can use. They got porcelain saddles, which is very similar to rings, but they just have a little bit more air gap in between each of the they call them saddles. You can use, they call them spiral prismatic. They're little spirals of either stainless steel or copper. I forget what they call them. Spiral prismatics, I think it is, something like that. Anyway, they're just spirals of like either copper or stainless steel wire that you could use. And some people use glass marbles. Okay, so there's a lot of different options, or you can have a combination of both. Now, I like to use sometimes the copper and the ration rings. That works very well together, and I think that's what I'm going to do today. Okay? Okay, so what does the packing do? Well, the long and the short answer is it increases the surface area inside the column for the vapors and the liquids to be in contact to help separate the molecules a little bit more efficiently. Okay, let me draw a picture. Okay, so say you have a column. Yeah, here's your column. Don't mind my artwork. And of course, you have the condenser, right? So say you have an open column. Well, the vapors were just going to come up, and then they will go out. And of course, it will condense the liquid, you know, because you got cold water in, cold water out, and you're going to have your condensed alcohol come out. Okay, so that's a very simple. And then let's say you have a column, same thing, right? And you've got it's packed full of, you know, your packing. Alright, so as the vapors come up, they will hit the packing, and in the very beginning it's going to hit, and since they're colder, it's going to condense the liquid back and it's going to fall back down. Right, so you're going to have vapors going up, and then you're going to have liquid falling back down, and it's going to go over and over again, and so eventually it's going to heat up the packing. So after that happens, the liquid that's falling down is going to hit that hot packing and then re-vaporize, and then it's going to go back up. So you're going to get that reflux up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay. So when the molecules, okay, what this whole distillation is to separate the alcohol from all the other stuff that's in the still pot. Okay, but here's the big but. That's a lot of flavor. Pure alcohol, yes. Does it have a flavor? Yes, very little. You know, if you get a real like grain alcohol, you know, something 190 proof or something like that, yes, it does have a taste, but it's very, very little taste. Okay, so as a home distiller or anybody that likes different kind of spirits, we're after that taste, ain't we? Like in this case here, we got this wheated bourbon. It's the corn. You like that corn taste. You like that wheat taste. So we don't want to lose all that taste. Okay. So the way this process works is, as we are heating up the still, the vapors are coming up. Now, those alcohol vapors are coming up because they boil before water does, correct? Okay, so what happens then is, as they're coming up, they're dragging along a couple of water molecules with it. Okay, so as that molecule's coming up the column, if it just comes up the column with no packing, it will hit the condenser and condense. Is there anything wrong with it? No, of course not. That is a pot still. That's how a pot still works. So you're going to have a lot of flavor with that. Okay, but to get a little bit more of a pure product and maybe a little bit smoother, if we use packing, right, and get that reflux action going on, as that molecule of alcohol is coming up and we got the water molecules, hey, that is where the taste is in that water molecule. So as they're coming up and they're going through the packing all, it's trying to, as that reflux action is going up and down, it's trying to knock that loose. So it's going to try to help separate the water from the alcohol. I mean, it's pretty simple, but I mean, kind of. So with that reflux action, you are going to get more alcohol proof coming out of your condenser if you're using some sort of packing. I think, and another thing too is they say that the copper pack, I always use copper in the bottom because they say that it takes out sulfites. Hey, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. I don't know if it's true or not, but I always use copper. I always use 2 rolls of copper in the bottom of the column. And it does a few other different things. I think it helps in the process of puking. I think it helps hold it down, so if it does start to foam up into your column, it will help keep it down, so to keep you from puking, I think. Can you still puke? Of course you can. So anyway, so the molecule, like I said before, the molecule is coming up. It's hitting that packing. If it makes it up top, it cools a little bit, and then it's going to come down as a liquid, and the action between the two, the up and the downs and around and abouts, it's helping knock them water molecules back to send them back down into the still pot. But one thing to keep and remember is higher proof, less flavor, lower proof, more flavor. So you want to find a happy medium to where you're happy with that. Okay? So it's time to stack our still out. We degassed. I mean, I have it starting to heat up. While we were talking about packing. So we're going. There's our cone on. So the next thing we're going to do, of course, we're using a gasket in there. Remember, I put 2 rolls of copper in there. Get that clamped on. Alright, I think I'm going to use a little bit of ration rings on this, just if I want to. And the idea behind it, I think I'm going to just get a little bit more of a smoother product. So I just want to put a couple handfuls in there. And the copper. Okay, so I got my column all stacked out. So let me show you what I got. Okay, of course there's the cone. Remember, I got 2 rolls of copper in here, up to there. Then I got a handful of ration rings up to basically the bottom of the sight glass. Then I got a sight glass here. I like to use a sight glass because you can really see what's going on. Okay, and then of course I got another extension piece here. And then I got my condenser coming out there and a thermometer up on top. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I already have heat going into the still pot. Now, the way like I do it, which I'm using 110 volt on my heating element, and I have a pulse width modifier switch hooked to a electric heating element, which I think is 1700 watts, somewhere like that. And so I got it on low. What I want to do is I want to get all the fluid that's in the still pot to moving around, and I want to bring it up slow, because I don't want anything to either do one or two things. I don't want it to settle on the bottom of the pot to get burnt, scorched, or I don't want any particles, which it should be pretty clean anyway because I siphoned it into the still pot, but there always could be. I don't want any particles to land on the heating element and get burned on there and get scorched. That's a terrible taste. So that's what I'm doing. I start bringing heat up kind of gradually. It's when I was putting the cone and all on, I could see the liquid starting to move. So what I can do is start inching up the temperature, because I know it's in motion. So I can inch up the temperature to get to the point where we want, okay? And basically the long and the short story is, once it gets to about 170 degrees, or 175 to 180 in the pot, you're going to start seeing, which I'm at, I'm only at 140 right now, but you'll start to see steam up in the sight glass. And so usually when I get up to about 180 in the pot or so, I'm going to start to see some production coming out of the condenser there, okay? I do have cold water in the bottom, and the warm water is going to come out the top. What else? That's about it. So when do you turn the water on? Well, I will usually turn it on early to fill this up for water. Everything is full, and I'll turn it on just very, very low, in the beginning. And one thing you just want to keep feeling is feel the end of your tube here, and it should be cold when it's warm up top, and we'll get to that. Alright, so now it's just a little bit of wait. We get up the temperature, then when something starts happening, I'm going to stop back in, okay? Hey, sorry about the noise. One thing I just wanted to jump back in here for was, in talking about distillation, the long and the short of it is, the basic principle is not very complicated. We are heating up a liquid that has alcohol in it and water and other chemicals in it. Okay, alcohol boils off faster than water does, so the idea behind it is to leave the water behind and let the alcohol rise up through the column. But like I said before, is as that alcohol molecule is going up the column, it's dragging along a little bit of the water from the mash with it. Of course, that's our flavor that we strive to get. But so as it's coming up, the packing in the still, and it either can be what the packing we talked about, or even plates in a plate column. It's all basically doing the same thing. It's making it interact and move around to help knock loose the water to drop it back down in the pot and the alcohol to go up. And that's the long and the short of it. It's all a process. Yes, it is science. Look, we're starting to get a couple of drips here. Alright. Yep. Real pungent smell. That's our heads and 4 shots going to come off. And what we're going to do is we're going to collect, like we always. Now this is a grain mixture, so it ain't as bad. We'll collect off about 4 ounces, 5 ounces off. Then we'll discard that. Alright, get back to the other. Okay, so yes, that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to separate the alcohol from everything else. We do want a little bit of the other, we love that especially, you know, bourbon. Oh, that corn taste, yes. Okay, so let me pay attention to what I'm doing or I'm gonna mess up. So like I said, we're just getting a little bit off now. Head temperature has not really started to climb yet, so we'll be back. Hey, just for a quick note, we're about 178 on the pot temperature, the liquid in the pot. If you feel the column, it's nice and hot down here at the bottom. So if everything starts to come up, it starts to cool off up. It's getting a little bit cooler here, but it's definitely coming up. That's a good indication. Is feel your column. Okay. So what I'm going to do shortly is I'm going to kill the gas heat underneath the propane, and then I'll strictly work off the electric. And then we'll get this column to balance out where she'll start producing a little bit and just run nice and smooth. But she's right about there now. Now right here it's real hot. Right here I can hold on to it. Okay, we're getting ready. You can see I had to hurry up and shut my heat back. You see it refluxing coming back down. It's coming off a little bit too fast for my liking. So I turned the heat back to get her to calm down. But you can really see the reflux action going on in the sight tube. I mean, column's nice and hot. My head temperature, it went up to about 175 or so. Okay, so it'll probably hang out there for a long time. Like I said, I turned the heat off, the gas heat's off. But remember, I always use a diffuser plate, a 1/4 inch piece of steel between the flame and the bottom of the still pot. It takes a couple minutes for it to cool off. It retains a little bit of heat. But I have shut the electric heat down some. I'm only putting in around 4 amps right now, so it'll start calming down here in a minute. But overall, it's everything is to be expected. All right. So let's get up to our 5 ounces or something. Then we'll move on to collection. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, on this last jar, I'm at like 35%. Smells pretty good. But I'm thinking this is going to probably be my last jar. So what I ended up doing, and what I'll do is I'll taste and smell before I blend. So what I did is then this jar that I got under distill right now, I turned my heat up because I know for a fact, you know, it ain't gonna make the cut. So I'm gonna harvest the alcohol out of it and put it over my faints jar for the next run. So I just turned the heat up a little bit, let it run a little fast, because I don't really care what the flavor is, or you know, I'm just trying to harvest. Like I said, I'm just trying to harvest the alcohol out of it. Okay, so this run's about done. What I'll do is come back tomorrow after I let this sit there and air out a little bit, and then I can blend it together, and we're going to get ready to oak this. You know, I'll proof it down to 80 where I like it, and then we're going to throw some oak in it and let it do a little aging. Okay. All right. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, let's finish this good looking bourbon up. I just gotta give it a little taste. It was proofed down to 80 proof. Ooh. Ah, that is so good. Oh, that is one good wheated bourbon. The only one thing left to do is, in the kit that Cyrus makes comes 2 medium charred oak sticks, okay? Looks like good sticks. Alright, so what we're going to do, and that's it, easy as that. Easy as that. Alright, so I'll just come by every once in a while and check it out. Basically when it gets to the color that I like and taste it, it'll be done. And then I'll put it in some bottles. Okay? Okay, I would really like to thank Cyrus for this. I think it's a pretty nice kit. It comes with basically everything that you need, except for the water. It don't come with the water. You have to use your own water. And in that department, I'm very lucky because I'm on well water and it's delicious tasting water. So I'm lucky in that department. Okay? So, I guess the very last thing I got to say is, hey, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time here on Stillworks and Brewing. And we'll let this sit, and then we'll give it a peek sometime later. Okay? Cheers, everybody.